So if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you'll probably know that I'm a pretty big fan of these Pilot hi-techpoint rollerballs. These are sold as the Pilot V7 hi-techpoint, or the hi-techpoint V7, and the hi-techpoint V5. They're basically the same pen as the Pilot Precise V5 and V7, but the hi-techpoint have this very cool matte color scheme. They have a visual window here, and the most important thing is that they are refillable rollerballs. So they have a rollerball style writing tip, but they use a fountain pen like cartridge, so you could remove the cartridge and put a new one in. It uses a cartridge that's essentially Pilot's standard or proprietary fountain pen cartridge, but with different ink inside. So you don't want to just take this off and put the fountain pen ink in there and then put it back on there. Technically it'll work for a little bit, but in my experience you'll usually get leaks because this uses a thicker ink. And you could augment the ink in some way and make it work, but Pilot does sell these V5 and V7 hi-techpoint ink cartridges, which I wanted to do a demonstration of right now. So this is a blue hi-techpoint V7. You can see it's about out of ink. It still writes, but it's starting to skip and get a little bit spotty. I could see just from a visual inspection here. Obviously, if you have the ink window here, you can see this thing's about empty. Turn it upside down, no movement there. And so, time to change this out. Process is very simple. You don't want to do it on some sort of, on a rag, on a piece of paper, whatever, something that's going to prevent any mess from forming. Have some paper towels handy and all that. If you're used to working with fountain pens and fountain pen ink, this is very similar. The only thing I would note is that this rollerball ink is a lot more difficult to clean up than fountain pen ink, which is waterier, more watery, whatever. So you want to be extra careful with this stuff. And if you do get any drops on anything, you want to clean them up really quickly. It's going to be really tough to get out. Anyway, so I won't be refilling this refill. I'll be swapping out the refill with this, the official hi-techpoint cartridge. I will be going from blue to black just because that's fun. Then also, hopefully we can catch the transition on video at some point. So the process is very simple. You take the pen apart just like this, you pull, and now the cartridge is removed. We'll put that aside. I might clean it off later and use it for some sort of experimentation. We'll see. You could see inside of this, it has a little piece inside. That's the top of the feed. This plastic half circle is what actually punctures the cartridge. A little bit of ink splattered over here. That's not a big deal. We just want to be careful if we're going to put this down, or you don't want to shake it or anything like that. You can see a little bit splashed on the desk already. That's why we want to do this on paper. Even when you're being very careful and moving very slowly, you get little drops here and there, and it's better not to get that on a desk surface or a laptop or what have you. These cartridges are easy to find. You could buy them online at most retailers that sell the hi-techpoint. This is a Japanese rollerball, so you may have to find it on Amazon or a Japanese pen store online. You probably can't find it at your local office store, wherever you buy your Pilot Precise pens, but they're not that hard to find. And then it looks just like a standard Pilot fountain pen cartridge, but it's not labeled in any way. Doesn't say rollerball, doesn't say do not use with your fountain pen or anything like that. So you want to keep these separate from your fountain pen cartridges. They look extremely similar to a standard Pilot cartridge. This time you just fit it around here just like that. Goes on, and you want to apply some pressure. Not really a big deal. And you can give it a little squeeze. This will sort of saturate the feed. Don't squeeze too hard. You'll see ink start shooting out from all over the place and places where it shouldn't start coming out. And again, this thing's already sort of writing, so you can see a little drop there. That might have been from the squeeze. It might have just been from some back pressure from the pen, but it came out of somewhere up here. The interesting thing with a Rollerball is that the ball piece, it actually wears down on this little pipe that holds it. So most refillable Rollerballs will only be good for maybe 10 cartridges, maybe a little bit more than that. So the Rollerballs do tend to start to leak over time, even when it's just normal, the course of writing. That's why you don't see too many refillable Rollerballs. Or when you do have a nicer Rollerball that's refillable, this front piece, the writing tip, is usually one of the components that can be replaced. So now it is writing consistently. We have some ink flow, and what will happen over the next few minutes of writing, especially if I keep going like this, is we'll see that black start to transition in there, and this blue gets darker and darker and darker, and then it'll eventually be black. That's a really visible progression with a fountain pen, where you're putting down more ink over a given length of time. You're just like, of the ink in here, a higher percentage is being put down with a given amount of writing. So you'll see that change happening pretty quickly. This might take a little bit longer with the Rollerball. Okay, so it's just a minute or two later, and the pen is writing normally, and you can see that the ink is starting to transition over from blue to blue-black, and now it's almost black. Not quite, but it's almost there. You could theoretically clean out the pen, like fully flush out the blue ink, then move over to the black, but that's not necessary. In fact, it's kind of a pain with a Rollerball. It's not really built for cleaning out, so it's easier just to remove one refill, put in the next one. It's a little bit of a messy process. Inevitably, you're getting a drop or two somewhere on your desk. You could see one little one came over here. Just part of the process, unfortunately. So you want to just do it really carefully, away from anything expensive and away from anything that can't be cleaned, and just to move over from one color to another when you have like don't do it in class or at your desk at work or whatever. Just do it on top of a piece of paper when you have a second and some cleaning materials handy. But yeah, it's pretty simple. It's how you refill a Pilot hi-tecpoint V7. Very much a worthwhile process and a nice way to get some more life out of a great pen. Thanks for watching.